Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. That's Lower Alabama. I'm Mike Amos, and he is Bill Rice Jr., and we're speaking to you from our studios, the Troy Cable Studios on South Brundage Street in Troy, Alabama, and we're going out to you on Facebook Live this morning across the country, across the world on Facebook. I'm sort of scared of Facebook.
You are?
I'm scared about what something I might say wrong, because it goes across the world. And of course, they're watching it this morning in L.A. They're watching in Hong Kong. They're watching in where are you calling from, sir?
Grayton Beach, Florida.
Grayton Beach, Florida.
And the Beach Gorge.
The home of the South Walton Seahawks. Good Seahawks.
Well, if anybody wants to get a good indication of these kids going to the beach and coming back, they've got a good indicator right now this weekend, because it was packed with folks, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the tropical storm didn't really scare anybody off. I did feel for these families that spend thousands and thousands of dollars renting houses down here, and it rains, basically so hard the first couple of days you can't get out. And then yesterday, the amazing Panama City Beach weather forecast, as always, is wrong, and it was sunny and really humid, but actually a beautiful day yesterday down here. So.
No question about it. Here's the front page of Sunday's Panama City paper, and of course you can see them packed on the beaches.
Let me see.
That morning, just take it right there, and they were just packed and. Again, a lot of them, I looked at a lot of tags, a lot of Georgia tags, Mike. They must be just now getting out of school, and this is sort of what they call their beach time. What do you think?
Well, I mean, everybody's schools are pretty much were canceled, I would think. So, beach week and everybody coming out on the beach kind of got moved up this year. So it's kind of a situation where I feel like you got a lot of Tennessee down here right now, a lot of Texas. A lot of Louisiana. Louisiana's back open, and they can come back down here to 30A as well. But just a lot of people everywhere. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, when I go to the grocery store today, I'll be in lines like 4th of July weekend down here. It feels like.
And you will wear a mask. Is that right?
Yeah, I wear a mask at the grocery store.
Well, that's good, and everybody wanted to hear you say that this morning. They've been worried about you without a mask down there. 2020 graduation is over with. All the graduates have walked down and picked up their diploma, and we'll talk about those graduates today from Charles Henderson High School of Troy, from Pike Liberal Arts Academy of Troy, Goshen High School, and Pike County High School. All have received their diplomas, and they're off to face the world. What do you think, Rice?
That's right. Big change coming for them. Most of them will probably go to college. That'll give them a little breathing room or a couple more years before they really have to dive deep into the real world.
You're a nostalgic guy. I'm going to let you have this. It's a Panama City Herald in 1940, so that's something you can
I love history,
on. Yeah. And I tell you this, a lot of news coming out of the football camps, and let me just tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to say football's right around the corner, how about Athlon? Athlon is in the stores now.
I wondered if they were even going to do those football magazines.
Oh, yeah, they're in the stores at the carousel.
Let me see.
And also Street and Smith, one of the older football
All right,
magazines.
good job, Mike.
Street and Smith, I usually get every one of them.
What about Lindy's? Is it out yet, out of Birmingham?
I don't know, but when it comes, I'll usually get it. I tell you, the carousel there at the beach is good about getting them. Now, everybody doesn't get them. I would go to Walmart and I can't find them.
Right, yeah.
But this is a good indicator that college football is just around the corner, or these guys would not have invested what they invested in these magazines.
I've been in that business, so I thought, you're spending all this money and doing all this work for a preseason preview, and you're not even sure if the season's going to take place.
And all right, let me hear from both of you. Number one in the nation predicted by Street and Smith. They've come out with their number, the 10 top teams in the nation. Who do you think they picked, Mike?
I'm going to say number 1 was Clemson, number 2 Ohio State, number 3 Alabama.
Well, you must be looking at a computer. Who do you like there, Rice?
Well, those are the usual suspects.
That's who I would have taken. The other guy.
I would put, Georgia's in there. Florida's in there. They even put LSU at number 10. Oklahoma's always
Who's going to beat Oklahoma in their conference? So, Oklahoma's always going to be in there.
I tell you what.
You got to go against the great Neil Brown at West Virginia, so Oklahoma's got to get ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you why Clemson's winning, if you want to know. Of course, they got a great quarterback now. But one of the reasons they're winning, like they're winning now, Jabo was getting his fanny whipped by Alabama. Why was he getting his fanny whipped by Alabama, Mike?
Well, I mean, Dabo is one of the top recruiters in the country now. Recruiting is they're one of the best,
In fact, they've recruited the top three. They recruited the top 3 defensive linemen in the nation this year already coming in. They have just signed the 3 top defensive linemen in the country. That's what they're doing. They're whipping folks up front. Just like Alabama whipped them up front and won national titles, that's exactly what Clemson's doing. They're whipping them up front with these great defensive linemen. The 3 best defensive linemen in the nation have already signed to play next year for the Clemson Tigers.
I've been up there to that campus. It is a beautiful place up there.
Well, if you want to put, of course, it's got a lake on it, which makes it a little bit prettier than Auburn, but it's a lot like Auburn, but except Clemson's got a big lake on it. I don't know if you've been there.
I've always heard that. No, I've never been there.
Well, I'll tell you right now, this road right out here is.
We should have built a big lake in Troy 40 years ago.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, this is Highway 231. I would say out front of us. This is this would be. You could get on downtown. You could get on Highway 231 and Highway 29. Stay on 29, you'll go right to Clemson
Is that
Stadium.
right?
Right to it. 29 goes right by the football stadium at Clemson.
Well, Troy played them tough a couple of years ago. One play, and who knows? Troy might have pulled as big an upset as they did by beating LSU.
Of course, we've got a lot to talk about.
After that game, Dabo Sweeney compared Brandon Silvers to Joe Montana.
Did he really?
Yeah, that's what he said in the post-game press conference. Talking about how accurate he was.
Yeah, okay. Well, I tell you, he was a pretty good football player.
Yeah.
What he's talking about was, just a touchdown difference in the game, and a big part of the game. Now, Clemson was going in for a score, and they got it. They went to about the 1-yard line, and the ball was laying on the back of the Clemson lineman. He was laying actually on the back. The Troy guy takes the ball off the back of the Clemson player and starts hitting 99 yards for a touchdown, and they blew the whistle. That's how close they came to beating Clemson.
Did they give the ball back to Clemson?
They gave it back to Clemson.
And they scored. So
I think
Clemson scored, yeah.
So that's
Clemson scored.
Troy was in the game early because Rucker, the great safety for Troy, of course everybody remembers him, with the big hit he made against LSU. He had 2 interceptions in that game against Deshaun Watson.
Well, the reason we know it so well, it happened right in front of us. We were in the end zone, and it happened right there, and what it was an inadvertent whistle. The official blew the whistle. He didn't know where the ball was, but he blew the whistle, and it happened to be live because it was laying on the back of that lineman, and our guy was heading that other way, and that's the story. But now, of course, if they had not fumbled, they might have beat them 2 touchdowns,
We went there Corey Robinson's maybe senior year. I went to that game, and we were leading at halftime. You remember?
Yeah, that's right. And they brought in there.
The half another year over there as well, and then we got blown out in the second half.
I tell you another game that Troy played real good, and later on, Johnny Williams and I went to Ohio State and visited with the coaches up there. They said they were so glad to get out of that game because they could just see it all over. Troy was playing Ohio State at Ohio State. I mean, I'm talking about straight up. They were playing them straight up.
It's tied going into the fourth quarter.
Going into the fourth quarter, and Troy was playing real well, and they brought in the guru, the great young quarterback, and not played the whole ball game.
That's right, yeah.
And they brought him in, and he ignited them to win. They still, I think, just won by 10 points.
A guy named Terrell Pryor.
That's right. Whatever happened to Terrell Pryor?
Plays wide receiver in the NFL.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Boy, he was a great quarterback.
You didn't mention the reason they won the game was their punter was kicking it
That's right.
50 yards every time and Troy inside the 5.
That's right. They sure did.
You know, a special teams guy, a punter can win a game sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
No question.
That's right. And if you got a bad one, you can lose a game.
Boy, I tell you, I've had fun looking at these magazines this morning, and there's a lot of good stories to tell.
Alabama had 5 guys test positive for the coronavirus. Auburn has had 3 players test positive for the coronavirus.
Now, what if that happens the week before the game? What happens?
Go into quarantine for 10 days to 2 weeks.
Will the whole team do it or what?
No, I mean, I guess whoever is around those players, maybe. I don't know how that works.
Let me give you a brief, some information. Troy, Pike County now has a death to talk about, and we're not going to talk about it, but we will tell you, Pike County now has its first death due to the virus, and it's so sad. And our prayers go out to that family, and we don't really know that family, but our prayers go out to that family, and hopefully things will get better. From what we gather with the virus, like when New York did not have a single death, that was this weekend, I don't know if it was Saturday or Sunday, that tells you something right there, doesn't it?
That's good.
Yeah, that's a good sign. I mean, deaths overall have gone down a lot. If you looked at the numbers the last week, I mean, the average deaths in the United States, at one time was almost like 2,500. Now it's down to less than 500 a day, and the cases are down to around 17,000 a day as well.
This is nationwide too. Is that right?
Yeah, it's definitely not seeing as many deaths now as you did before. Of course, there's still hot spots in certain areas, and it's going to be interesting to see as the summer moves on, throughout the rest of these states, and it gets warmer. I mean, I still think the heat and the hotter temperatures are going to slow this down a lot.
Yeah. Of course, looking at the COVID-19 deaths in Alabama, it's reported now as of Monday, 714 reported deaths statewide, and there's 20,509 listed cases. So hopefully we're going to get this thing down to zero.
I keep looking. You don't see it much. I wish they would provide it, but the number of people that are tested and then the percentage of those who are testing positive.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that ratio has gone way down too. So they're testing a lot more people, which is probably why you're getting a lot more cases, because you're testing 10 times as many people as you did 2 months ago. But the percentage of people that are coming back positive is lower and lower and lower. That tells me that the peak is way past.
Of course, Alabama and Auburn, Troy, all the colleges are working out on their own, and of course they claim they're working out with strength coaches and graduate assistants. I bet you they're sneaking some guys in there. There's no question that they're being looked at out the window. What do you think, Mike?
Well, it got announced yesterday. They're going to give the teams, looks like 60 days. The NCAA is going to offer to get ready for the season. So I think that's going to be approved. So that means you'll basically be able to start practice around July 15th. So that's good news as well for the coaches wanting extra time to get ready for the season. I mean, the way it looks right now, it looks like football is going to start as normal from what I'm seeing.
It really surprises me. This whole thing.
Breaking news out of Vestavia, Alabama, the great one. Buddy Anderson says 2020 will be his last season.
And you know the guy that hired Buddy Anderson.
Winningest coach all time in Vestavia, Alabama State high school football history.
Yeah. The guy that hired him
Yeah.
was Larry Blakeney. We had him on our show yesterday by way of tape, and then we had him on the 4th, and great show. And Larry Blakeney got his start, of course.
So he was at Vestavia, and he hired Buddy Anderson
That's
to
right,
be
he
his
hired
own stuff,
Buddy Anderson.
and then they hired Buddy Anderson after
That's
Larry
right.
left.
That's right, and now he's
I think they hired Buddy Anderson a few years after Larry was even gone. Somebody else replaced Larry. And then
he holds the record for the most wins in state high school.
You know what I remember about that?
342 wins, 154 losses in 42 seasons.
There's a Troy connection there because Vestavia used to have a little training camp every summer in Troy. He'd bring his whole team for what, a week?
Now you know the rest of the story. You know, Larry and Buddy, every time they'd come in here for a week, every night, Larry would cook for them or have somebody cook for them, and Wayne Bolt would take care of them. And, you know, it wasn't a bad business to have a lot of those schools come in. I remember a lot of the Georgia schools used to come in for a week. And
do they still do that at all anymore?
I don't know about the rules anymore of being able to do it. Well, let me tell you, there's a special athlete out at Pike Liberal Arts, and of course we've known about him for a long time. But let me just say this, that Drew Nelson is one of the top baseball prospects in the country, and he's only a sophomore in high school.
Was he?
Junior next year.
He'll be a junior next year. Okay.
Be a junior next year.
So he missed most of his sophomore season.
right.
He was that freshman pitcher that I kept hearing about. That was.
He has already committed to play for Auburn, and he has 2 more years of high school baseball left.
I was telling Dad, I've never heard of a kid in Troy having a major offer to a big-time SEC school going into his junior year. I don't even think Brian Meadows had anything like that. I mean,
Well, let me just say this. The young man is special. There's no question about it. And as we said, Auburn has gone ahead and they haven't signed him. They can't sign him until 2 years from now. But he has committed to play for Auburn, and that's his favorite team. So looks like they got
Well, he
him.
might have a decision to make in a couple of years
And
whether he wants to go to college or
That's
go
right.
pro.
That's what I was telling Michael's mother yesterday. That there's a good chance that the pro scouts are liable to get him before. Now, see, the thing about him, and I've known this kid all his life, and I watched him play Little League ball. I've watched him play ever since he was 6 years old, and of course knew even then he was going to be a fine player. But Drew Nelson is the sophomore left-hander at Pike Liberal Arts. Is something special, no question about it. And the guy that believes more in him than anybody is a guy named Tim Hudson, who is the pitching coach at Auburn now, a volunteer pitching coach. And of course, everybody knows Tim Hudson, that grew up in Phoenix City, and then ended up playing with the Atlanta Braves for so many years. And of course,
he was
one of
a
Auburn.
private school player as well, so
That's right.
that connection.
He went to played it. Yeah, that's right. In Phoenix City, and of course Hudson will be a Hall of Famer one day, no question about it, because of all the great career he had at.
Well, he had a great career before he came to Atlanta. His best years were even before he came to. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. I didn't think about that.
He was a Cy Young winner.
He did good in Atlanta, but he didn't.
I'll tell you something else. When he played for Auburn, he did something else. When he wasn't pitching, he was playing center field, and he was one of the top hitters in the SEC. And I saw him last year.
Nelson mentioned he wanted to do both at Auburn too. He wants to play left foot and pitch, is what he said.
Well, I don't know if they'll let him or not, but let me say this.
They let Tim Hudson.
Right now, I'd say he's around 6 foot. Somebody can call me.
And his dad's tall, isn't he?
Well, his dad is 6'5".
All right.
If in the next 2 years, this could very easily happen, that he grows 3 or 4 or more inches. If this kid ends up being 6'4", 6'5", and weighing 220, look out. And
Andy's a lefty, isn't he?
yeah, he's lefty, and I just say look out. This kid, already as one of the best changeups there is out there. I mean, he right now, as a junior at Pike Liberal Arts, probably could get college batters out right now.
I bet, yeah.
With his changeup.
Yeah.
They say
Levi Garrett's son, was he born in Troy?
Yeah, he was born. I'm pretty sure he was born.
Yeah, I remember
Troy.
all those kids running around.
Yeah,
and
I mean, can we verify? Like, I mean, when we pulled up his baseball card, would it say Troy, Alabama?
I don't know. Why don't we try? See if we can do it.
I think he's going to be in Double A this year, but you know, he was a first-round pick.
Yeah, and now this kid is going to probably be a draft choice for somebody, but whether or not he stays and plays at Auburn or goes into the pros.
he's a big
next 2
Auburn
years.
fan, isn't he? He might want to.
That's right, and Coach Hudson, who's the pitching coach, is going to help him be even better. Just think when he gets to Auburn.
Gabe Gross from Dauphin, who played 7 years in the majors, he's the third base coach. So they
That's
got
right.
2 former major leaguers on that staff. That's got to help with recruiting.
That's right. Gross is a great guy, great friend.
You know,
of mine.
I'll tell you a Gabe Gross story. Remember, he came out the same year Tyler Watts did, and Tyler Watts was supposedly the phenom in America. And but in the Alabama-Mississippi High School All-Star game, Tyler Watts was one of the quarterbacks, but the other one was Gabe Gross,
That's right.
who nobody really talked about as a football player. Well, Doc Anderson from here in Troy, he always was the trainer at that game, and he came back from that game and said, Gabe Gross is better than Tyler Watts.
Well, I know this, that he started against Auburn as a pure freshman. You remember that? He might have been the only true freshman that's ever played in that game at a quarterback.
They just threw him to the wolves, buddy. They had nobody else.
Sure did.
And
They
he
sure
was
did.
tough. He did.
Talking about the great Bo Nix beat Alabama his true freshman year.
Oh yeah, well you're right. You're right. Sorry about that.
Bo Nix in Auburn, man.
That's right. Oh, hey, Auburn's gonna win the game, Mike. They're gonna win the game.
Jalen Hurts started as a freshman against Auburn.
That's right. No question about it. But what I'm saying is you don't see that much. But Gabe decided, though, that he was going to go the pro baseball route, and that's what he did.
It worked out well for him, just like Frank Thomas did.
Sure did.
They both played 1 year, I think, in football, and then went to baseball.
No question about it. And I'm just wanting to recognize this young man at Pike Liberal Arts and Drew Nelson. And if he grows to be 6'4", 6'5", like his daddy, and weigh about 220, that's about the size of your good friend Mike when he went into the pros.
Brian Meadows. Yeah.
Brian Meadows.
Meadows is 6'4".
And this kid gets that kind of dimensions. Look out. We're talking about one of the best baseball pitchers in the country.
Well, even if he doesn't, I mean, look, we talked about how great Tim Hudson is, and what is he? Probably 5'11", you know?
Yeah, he's not real tall.
Very tall, maybe 6 foot.
But
You're right. The template they look for is tall and lanky and.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a couple of things. 2 years ago, or not last year, but the year before, Pike Liberal Arts won the state baseball championship. They went to Tuscaloosa to play Tuscaloosa Academy, who was very good. They were very good. Well, he comes into the game and just shuts them completely out. I mean, they couldn't hit him. And then when they got on base, they couldn't go off base because he would pick them off.
Mm-hmm.
This kid has the best pickoff of any young player I've ever seen.
He's obviously getting great.
Maybe the closest. I mean, we're talking about when a base runner gets on base. Say he walked a runner, a hitter, or the hitter got on a base hit or error. That hitter is not going to be able to get off base. I'm talking about 1 foot or 2 foot, or he's going to get picked off.
Well, that's a weapon too. Yep.
So what I'm saying, and he's such a competitor. Of course, he's an outstanding basketball player. He's also an outstanding football player.
His mother is a great Pike County resident. I remember her in high school.
And his daddy was a very good athlete at Pike Liberal Arts. And they tell me.
Good athlete too.
Who?
His uncle was a good athlete, Byron Carter.
Oh yeah,
His mother has become a fantastic photographer too. So
Yeah.
she made a post about him committing, and she included several pictures of him growing up. You know, the real cute
Well,
pictures.
see, he is,
But they are fantastic pictures because his mom is a professional photographer.
I don't know if he's reached puberty yet. But, well, I swear, Mike, that's what a lot of people look at it.
The guy's about to be a junior in high school.
Well, let me just say this. When they talk about you talking to these strength coaches, you hear that word all the time. It's the way we work. But let me just say this about.
The big question is he going to stay at Pike Little Arts? Is he going to play for Ponder at Pike Road? Where does he want to play?
I would think he'd stay at Pike. Pike.
He's a legacy at Pike.
Does he want to go play for Chase Smart or Charles Henderson?
Wouldn't that be something?
Both schools have some fantastic young coaches, or they got the pedigrees to be fantastic coaches.
Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have these actual.
They say the guy at Erickson's better than everybody. I can't even think of his name right now, but Erickson's got a great baseball coach.
Oh yeah, it really do. And then, hey, how about those kids at Long or Skipperville, Mike? They're pretty good too.
Wade Miller is one of the best coaches in this.
Miller, his daddy was a legend, and they won all those championships. I will say this about Nelson. Like I said, he's a quarterback on the football team, but they tell me that he's through with football. You don't want to take the chance, and that's what another great athlete did that went on to Alabama and played 4 years at Alabama, Mike, and turned out to be good, and he's still in the pros and done well.
You talking about Chandler Avant?
Yeah, Chandler Avant. And I was thinking that Avant, of course, right here in Troy, Pike Liberal.
Chandler's playing in the pros.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was drafted, I think, 32nd round. I think he's playing,
He's had a few injuries.
Or in the Florida League with the Mets. I think he's still playing.
Yeah. Let me tell you what he does. Of course, Avant played 4 years at Alabama, excellent player, and born and raised out here on the Shell-on Highway, right down the street from the Smiths and all that bunch. And those other guys, that water must be pretty good drinking water, Mike, for all these great athletes come out of there. But he is playing in the pros. He's had some injuries at Alabama, but the thing he could do, Rice, is outrun everybody.
Really?
Hey, I'm talking about outrun everybody. He could fly. And I always said this, and it tickled me if his mom and daddy are watching today. No telling how good a football player he would have been. He did not play his junior. I think he played maybe his 9th grade year. But they said when he did play, he just outran everybody. He's a great athlete, but he was just so fast. I think that's
I
what
can't blame
kept him a lot
anybody
of the
that has baseball talent for sticking to baseball if they got a chance to make it to the pro level or the college level.
And he played on a state championship team at Pike Liberal Arts. Let me tell you, the kids that have come through there have really, really done well. And of course, the kids that came through Charles Henderson. We talk about all these great players, and of course we with Nelson and with Avant, and then how about this guy, Chase Smart? How good was he, Mike?
Well, Rush Hickson came through Pike Liberal Arts. He had a good career at Troy, didn't he?
Yeah, but I'll tell you this right now, and I've seen all of these kids play because we did the games on Troy Cable, and I love doing it and working with or letting people see how good these kids were. But Chase Mart's the best high school player I have ever seen.
Yeah, I bet.
He was phenomenal.
He was a phenomenal high school player. I remember he gets up against some.
He started in the 8th grade.
Yeah, I remember he hit a line drive. Now everybody was talking about that railroad track at downtown Montgomery, and Mike. I remember he hit a line drive off that great left-handed pitcher that they had. And I bet he's still in the pros. That kid. But it was a line drive that, listen to this, Rice, it started to rise after it got to the railroad track. Sort of like when Mickey Mantle hit him. I mean, hey, the ball, and then it was just, the announcer later on told me that's one of the longest home runs he ever seen hit, and it was a line drive.
And for a high school kid.
Yeah, and of course, what a great player he was.
That was at Riverwalk Stadium in the minor league park, too.
Boy, you could take these all-stars from Pike Liberal Arts, from Charles Henderson and Goshen and some of these guys, and you could put together a quite
What about
a team.
Joey Dennison's son?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was a great player.
And I want to say, if I could have...
Definitely could have played football in college.
Oh, yeah.
Linebacker Charles Henderson.
Oh, he was a great linebacker.
Well, I'm telling everybody, you know, his dad, we talk about Willie Collins a lot on this show. That if he was 4 inches taller, he would be in the NFL for
That's
10
right.
years.
He'd be a household name.
That's true.
No question about
But
it.
Joey Dennison, if he was 4 inches taller, he would have been in the NFL.
Exactly right.
He was.
And you know what hurt
something
him? You know what everybody tells me hurts him? He was a little bit older than a lot of them. And the pros, instead, I think he was 23, something like that, 23 years old. And the pros want to get him when they're 17, 18, you know, for some crazy reason. But I reckon they need those 2 or 3 years to develop the kid physically, you know. And of course, boy, we've seen them come through here. This is a haven for great athletes, and to prove it, Nelson, the young left-handed pitcher from Pike Liberal Arts, has already committed to play at Auburn, and he's got 2 years left to play at Pike Liberal.
Oh.
And this year, no telling what the record.
Sounds like they got some other players on that team that are going to be college players one day too.
Mike,
The new head coach, Mario White's son, is going to Florida State. He played at Tuscaloosa Academy, and he's already signed with Florida State. I think that this was his senior year that he didn't get to finish, I believe.
Yeah.
But maybe he has one more year. I'm not sure.
The unreal thing about Nelson is, as good as he is right now, and he's only 14 years old, not even driving a car yet, as good as he is right now.
If he's starting his junior year, he's got to be close to 15 or 16.
Well, okay, I don't believe he's driving his own car yet, but maybe so. We might see him driving a Cadillac before long, or a Mercedes before long, when his pro team's going to go ahead and...
We don't want to talk about Cam Newton and that backdrop.
Yeah. The youngest player to ever play in the Major Leagues, name him. I can do it right now with my computer. My computer...
Ever play in the Major Leagues?
Yeah, them ever play in the Major Leagues.
Well, Dwight Gooden.
Ty Cobb, maybe?
Nope, y'all wrong. Wrong, bump. All right, give me another one.
Dwight Gooden was real young.
Bump. His name was Joe Nuxall. He played at 15. He played a 15-year-old who played in the Major Leagues. He played for the Cincinnati Reds, Joe Nuxall.
I got to Google that. 15.
And that came off my computer, Joe Nuxall.
I'm going to yield to you.
And there's the people out there that said, yeah, you're right. I had a card with Joe Nuxall's picture on it. I'm almost positive Joe Nuxall was the youngest pitcher ever. There was another guy.
I'm talking about young guys.
Von McDaniel that played with the St. Louis Cardinals. Yeah, I know who Von McDaniel was because he had a brother that played with St. Louis named Lindy McDaniel. But Vaughn played at 16.
I actually thought you were wrong, but you're right. 15-year-old Joe Nuxall becomes the youngest person ever to play in the Major League Baseball when he pitches a game for the Cincinnati Reds in 1944.
Isn't that amazing? I wasn't even born yet. Thank goodness.
They all go to a little minor league, but I remember I was a huge Braves fan when they were awful in the 70s. And you remember when the Braves signed Bob Horner out of Arizona State, I think, out of college? He didn't even go to the minors. They brought him straight to the Braves.
That was right, yeah.
And I think he hit a home run in his first game in the Major Leagues.
That is amazing. We're talking ball this morning, Ben Beard, Colin, and you guys that go way back, like Jim Tom Norman and some of those guys. Mike, look up Von McDaniel or Lindy McDaniel. There were just very few brother combinations to ever play in the Major Leagues. Do you know who some of those guys were, Mike?
You know, one of my favorite wrestlers growing up was Wahoo McDaniel.
Joe DiMaggio's brother was also a great player.
They had that backup.
Wasn't he a Hall of Fame player himself?
No, I don't think his brother was.
He was he was an all-star.
Yeah, in fact.
Played for the Red Sox, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see here. They also had.
They saw won 135 games in 16 seasons.
Yeah. Of course, you had Bobby and Wilbur Shantz Bobby Shantz pitched for the Yankees. Wilbur Shantz was a catcher. Here's somebody calling in this morning. Mike, let me put you on hold a minute, and I'll bring you right back. I'm going to stick you on hold. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, Mike, this is Forrest.
Farley, how you doing?
Good. Alabama.com named their all-state baseball team, and Jackson Blair from Ayrton is listed as a first-team outfielder.
One of those Shellhorn Road guys.
Yeah, Jackson Blair, and let's see, Alabama Independent School Association, Levi Sykes Sr., Drew Nelson Jr.
Levi Sykes is a left-handed pitcher, isn't he? Or am I wrong there?
He goes to Pike Liberal Arts too?
I'm not.
Yeah, he goes to Pike.
It says utility, but anyhow, I'm not sure what position he plays.
All right, hold on a minute. Let me bring Mike in. Hold on a second. And let's see here. There we go. Got both of you on now?
I'm here.
Mike, you on?
Yeah.
Mike, Forrest Lee's got some very interesting information. Tell us that again, Forrest.
Alabama.com, All-State Baseball has Drew Nelson, Pike Liberal Arts, Levi Sykes, Pike Liberal Arts. In 1A baseball, Lucas Richardson from Brantley, he's a shortstop, second baseman. And you also have Tucker Kilcrease, sophomore, shortstop.
He's that great quarterback coming up in Brantley, and we'll see him next year against Charles Henderson.
That's right. The last home regular season game, and been a lot of rotation of players from Charles Henderson, Pike Liberal Arts. I understand about 11 players are going over there, football players.
Oh, are they? What? Tell me about that.
What's going on?
What? Tell us about that, Farley.
That's the rumor, Bill. About 10, 11 players have transferred from Charles Henderson to Pike Liberal Arts to play football.
Oh no.
That's good for Pike Liberal Arts. That's bad
Yeah, I know what I'm saying. I hate to see that starting to happen, though.
Who are these 11 players, I wonder?
Well,
Wait a minute, Brad McCoy's calling in.
yeah. That's not true. That's not true. Surely that's not true.
This is unconfirmed. This is unconfirmed. Let's stress that.
Yeah, they're unconfirmed, but it could very easily happen.
let's get back to the baseball.
Yeah, let's do.
J.T. Hoffman
I had that
from
pen in a minute.
Home, Hasten Long from George W. Long, Maddox Harry from Ayrton, Parker Collier from George W. Long.
All right, that Arrington kid, did you say Herring?
Yes, sir.
Hey, let me tell you this. That is a great family right there. In
Who is that? Whose family?
Herring.
Principal's son.
Harry.
Yeah, the principal's Herring down there.
Okay.
And you're talking about his son?
Yes, sir. I guess that's his
Yeah,
son.
he's good. He's really good.
What about Andy Blair's son? He's a good player.
Yes, sir. He says he's a senior. I guess that's his last year.
Where does Andy Blair's son play?
Arrington's.
There.
And boy, this is going to hurt some of these kids, because they're not able to show their stuff their senior year, and they cancel baseball, so that hurts those kids, and hopefully they'll be able to catch on with the college.
They will. Like surely the junior college scouts will know the high school coaches and know who was getting ready to be really good.
Ladies and gentlemen, some of the news that really hit the sports circle here in Pike County was when Charles Henderson High School announced that Chase Smart, the 22-year-old graduate senior at Troy University, is now the new head coach at Charles Henderson High School. This kid goes from college, right out of college, to be the head baseball coach at one of the premier baseball programs in the state of Alabama, Charles Henderson High School.
I wish he could be a player coach.
I think he's 23.
He's 23 years old. Well, I was married I was married at 23, Mike. You
Smart was playing in the independent leagues up in Canada and wanted to continue to play baseball, but a lot of people have not talked about that. But a lot of these minor league guys aren't getting paid at all by these major league clubs. Minor league ball has just totally been shut down, and then Major League Baseball, they don't even know if they're going to play. They're talking about maybe playing 76 games, but that kind of just forced his hand.
That's right.
He decided to get in coaching instead.
Now, there's a real story here.
Well, he'll probably be a college coach or a pro coach
right,
one day.
He's a special kid himself. He was born with a hearing defect.
That's right, yeah.
And you know what? And was a catcher, one of the top Division I-A baseball catchers in the country.
Yeah, he got. Well, he got a cochlear implant like Rush Limbaugh has, but he got it well before Limbaugh, I think. So
I didn't know Rush Limbaugh had it.
Yeah, but that makes Chase even more impressive that he overcame that disability.
Chase is 23. How old is our Pike Liberal Arts head coach?
He's got to be 23, 24 as well.
See, he's right out of high school, college too.
They finished the same year. I want to say they graduated together. I mean, at Troy, they finished the same year. I want to say.
That's right.
Let me throw y'all a curveball. What if Pike Lib joined the Alabama High School Athletic Association?
I tell you what, it'd be the smartest move they've ever made if they do it.
I think a lot of this stuff with travel is affecting them because they're having to travel all over the world of Alabama.
We know they had to go to Tuscaloosa every year.
Yeah, I mean, they never could get over the hump in football in private school. They could never, it's where Bessemer Academy was or Monroe Academy and some of those schools. Of course, you got,
Tuscaloosa.
You got Tuscaloosa Academy, but in football, the Mario White was in Tuscaloosa for years. All he's got to do is look at American Christian Academy. I mean, that's what they did. They started off as a private school, and I think they're 3A or 4A now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're rock and roll. And, Taylor Smart, his sister's coaching at Troy University. And I've got softball all-state. You have, locally, you got Morgan Ferguson from George W. Long. You got McKenna Long, George W. Long. You have Robin Timlon from Ayrton. In 1A, it's just loaded with Brantley people. Girls, Henry Bush, Brantley. Kate Dunn, Brantley. Lauren Hudson, Brantley.
Gosh.
Boy, they are loaded, aren't they?
Alabama Independent, I don't see any.
Well, one of Brantley's former stars is the star pitcher at Troy University. We didn't get to really talk a lot about them, but Troy had the top 3 pitchers in the state of Alabama playing on their softball team now. They had the kid from Brantley, the kid from that they got from Long or Skipperville, and then the other kid that they recruited from Florida, somewhere down there.
Well, can't they all come back next year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
The girl from Brantley's young. Is the girl from Brantley like a sophomore?
Yeah, at Troy, yeah. Or what you mean, this new list? Are you talking about the kid that's already at Troy?
Yeah.
Johnson's her name.
What classification was she in college?
You got Libby Baker from Skipperville.
Yeah. And she's one of those pitchers along with Johnson, and then there's another pitcher. 3 of the top pitchers in the country are playing at Troy now, and they played at small schools like Brantley and Long or Skipperville. Mm-hmm. Hey, it don't matter how big that school is. If you throw hard, you can play, can't you?
Yeah, Leona Johnson from Brantley sophomore.
Yeah, exactly. Tell us how the kid from Charles Henderson, Mike, or Forrest, is doing in softball. Her dad played football here at Troy. He was a banker here in Troy, and they had the banker down in Mobile.
Oh, you're talking about the Yarborough girl. She played at Auburn, yeah.
Yeah, how's the Yarborough girl doing?
I don't know. I was looking at her numbers.
I think she was having a good year before it shut down.
Trust me, all you gotta do is go on Facebook and follow her dad, and you'll know everything she does. There's about 1,000 pictures.
Oh, really? I bet. Of course, course, they lived here in Troy, and she went to Charles Henderson and then went to Pike Liberal, I think, at one time, didn't she?
Yes.
Now, a lot of these kids will be playing travel ball. Even these girls will be playing travel ball, and they'll be recruited heavily by these coaches in the colleges, and
yeah, on
a lot of things change. You know, of course, the kid could be playing at Brantley one year and playing at Montgomery Academy the next year. You know,
this travel baseball kind of reminds me of the AAU basketball. Remember?
That's right.
That became the big thing. That's where all the college coaches and pro scouts would go.
And
was
it
the
still
summer
is.
AAU basketball.
That's right, Rice. You're right, and it still is the case. A lot of kids are being recruited out of AAU ball and so forth, especially girls. You know, girls. Yeah, we're here. Yeah, Forrest.
She was 6-0. She appeared in 13 contests. Was 6-0. With a couple of saves.
At Auburn.
At Auburn.
Boy, that's something.
That's crazy. When she was at South Alabama, she had like an ERA of like 7.
Well, she was just a pure freshman at that time, I think.
Goes and plays in the SEC, and she's dominant. That's unbelievable.
I haven't seen her in a long time, but she was when she was in the 6th grade, she was beating people when she was in the 6th grade.
All right, making her SEC debut at number 7 Florida, she held the Gators to 1 run over a career-high 10 innings of work while striking out 8.
Oh, boy.
And that's Florida, which is a powerhouse.
ERA was incredible, 1.15.
Yeah. Well, she's a great player.
Well, she's got more years left at Auburn, right? So she'll be. And then,
you know, her daddy pushed her, but you know, rightfully so. You know, he saw a talent. You know, her daddy was a good athlete.
But doesn't her sister have a vice?
Yeah.
I can't think of it, but.
Well, she'll get this year back. Don't everybody get this year?
That's right. That's going to help them.
I thought just the seniors got it back.
Really, I don't know how that works. But of course, this.
I thought that your senior players got the year back. I don't think these other players get a year back.
Let's take a look at Johnson and look at some of these Troy pitchers. How well they did, you know, until the virus hit. How did they do?
Hang on.
Had the season started yet? They had not started yet, had they? Oh, did they?
Well, y'all are telling me about a lot of players I need to follow.
They did play. They had played 20 games. Okay.
Yeah. Auburn had already played 27 games. They were 16 and 11.
Now, the virus got here in January, didn't it?
March. Well, they say March. I think November.
The earliest case was in January.
The baseball team finished 9 and 8, so they played 17 games.
Yeah. But now, I'd like to hear how the Johnson kid from Brantley had done so far in softball.
You want me to pull it up?
Yeah, pull that up if y'all will. I'd like to hear, you know, we've already checked this girl, the Johnson kid from
Brantley that plays at
Brantley to a state championship. And then the kid.
I don't see 2019. I don't see 220. I'm looking on the website. Let me look at this season stats.
2020, it looks like they finished 17 and 6, so they were having a really good year.
Yeah, you talking about Brantley?
No, I'm talking about
Troy. They're talking about Troy. They were having a very good year. How were those pitchers doing?
I can just pull up the stats. I'll tell you.
I'm trying to find it.
Isn't it great that you can do that? Because Forrest Lee calling from his den on just off the Elba Highway here in Troy, and of course Mike Amos calling from his haven spot in Northwest Florida, and of course Rice.
Leanna Johnson was 11 and 3 with a 1.71 ERA.
So she was doing pretty good.
Well, I would say so.
11 and 3 already.
So obviously she's their number one pitcher. She pitched in 14 games out of how many?
How about this? She struck out 137 batters.
Oh man!
How many innings?
In 94 innings, she struck out 137.
I always look at that strikeouts per innings pitch ratio. That'll tell you something.
No question. How about the kid from?
Libby Baker was 3 and 1.
Or that's the kid from Long, or which one's the kid from Long?
I think she's the kid from Long.
Yeah, okay.
John's the kid's from, yeah, that's right.
From Brantley. But isn't it amazing the kind of athletes we have coming through here? And of course,
I mean, the Yarborough girls' numbers are incredible though at Auburn.
that is unreal. That is
I know they
unreal.
didn't probably get into conference play yet.
Well, what year is she at Auburn?
She was a sophomore. You know,
Yeah,
she didn't have
she
to
was
sit out a year. You know, I think the coach got fired at South Alabama, and she was able to transfer and play immediately at Auburn. I don't know if there's a clause or how that works. If a coach is fired at a program, you know, that the players can immediately, you know, play. You know, I don't know. You know, that there's a reason. Maybe you don't have to sit out a year. I don't know.
Well, there is no rhyme or reason to it. They just, the NCAA lets some people play immediately and others they don't.
Have you heard we hadn't even talked about this. Have y'all heard the crazy news about the punter at Arizona State that went into the NFL draft, went to the NFL Combine, the Turk guy, and they granted him his eligibility back at Arizona State to punt?
Oh, me, I didn't know they could do that.
That's the first time I've ever heard of that that a college athlete went through the draft and he put out a waiver, you know, or sent in, you know, a request to be eligible again to play college ball, and they let him back
Isn't
on
that
the team.
amazing?
He's back in college.
And we made this announcement last week that the punter, extra point kicker, and field goal kicker at Troy has transferred to West Virginia. But you know, I noticed that West Virginia got hit pretty bad by a few players leaving them too. Though I was reading in my magazines over here. Of course, we've got the new magazines out. This is the Athlon magazine. It's the first one out, and then of course we've got Street and Smith, one of the old reliable sporting.
Now this is the national
magazine.
edition. This isn't the SEC edition, which
Well,
they'll
I mean,
also
that's
have.
got the national and everything in it there.
But they also have a separate magazine that just focuses on the
And
SEC.
of course, I'm looking at the Sun Belt. It's got Troy predicted to be number 3 in the Sun Belt with their and claims that they'll be going to the Myrtle Beach Bowl. That's the prediction, that Troy will end up going to Myrtle Beach Bowl. But these bowl games gives Troy a chance to go to a bowl game very easily. New Orleans Bowl, they've got them predicted that that's where Appalachian State's going. Everybody thinks Appalachian State's going to be good again. When is that quarterback going to graduate? Gosh. Georgia Southern's got their great quarterback. They'll be going to the Linden Tree Bowl. That's a new bowl. Troy will prediction to go to the Myrtle Beach Bowl in Myrtle Beach, North Carolina, or South Carolina, whatever. That's where my son-in-law's from. The Louisiana, everybody thinks that Louisiana and Appalachian State will be the 2 teams to beat in the Sun Belt, but they got projection that Louisiana will be going to Montgomery's Camellia Bowl. Johnny Williams would love to do that because they travel well. Arkansas State, who is, you look at what they've done, they've gone something like 17 straight years to a bowl game. Arkansas State is going to with projection to go to the Cure Bowl in Orlando. You know, I'd love to go to the Cure Bowl.
Anyway, go to Orlando.
I'd like to go to Orlando to a bowl game. But
it'd be great to go to Disney World right now.
And everybody's talking about the great linebacker at Troy, Carlton Marshall. Mike, how in the world do we keep him?
Well, you know, he's got a chance to probably be, numbers-wise, the greatest defensive player ever at Troy. I mean, the numbers he's putting up.
No question about it.
You know, I would expect that he will stay at Troy and not transfer. He's a team leader.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess you never know.
You know, Zach Thomas.
He's a guy like Sam Mills that played for the Saints for so many years, a really short linebacker, but you know, he's the type of guy that, you know, he might be able to play at the next level. He's that good.
Yeah. You know, Mike, Troy had a linebacker from Viger High School of Pritchard.
Yeah, I remember him.
And he's a straight A student. He weighed about 210, 215. And he just broke all the...
Anthony Rabb.
That Anthony Rabb, yeah, Buddy was. He was a great linebacker. He never played a lick of pro football, but Buddy, he was as good a college linebacker as anybody had back then.
Yeah, he was. He was a specimen.
Yeah.
This is an amazing story. This is the first time in history that a player from the NCAA went through the draft, hired an agent, and was granted eligibility to come back to play 2 more years at Arizona State.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is
Well, it sets a precedent. It sets a,
situation where they're going to let players enter the draft if they're not drafted.
Yeah.
They can come back.
sets a precedent. We don't know what the unique. There might be unique features to his story. We don't know backstory, but that does set a precedent.
Mike, I was looking at these coaches. You know, Billy Napier is one of the top coaches in the league, and he coached with Saban for how many years?
Several.
Two different stints he coached with Saban.
Yeah.
He was also at Clemson at one time.
And now we're looking at another new coach. The last 3 years, Appalachian State has to have a new coach. Sean Clark is their new coach at Appalachian State, and everybody thinks that Appalachian State will be the team to beat again this year. So Troy plays Appalachian State.
He was the head coach in the bowl game when Eli Drinkowitz got the head job at Missouri. He went ahead and left, and this guy came in and did a good job when they beat UAB.
Yeah. Well, of course, we're taking a look at these magazines, and you know they're strictly prognosticators, and you know it's always.
I'm like you though. I read them all, and
yeah.
The Phil Steele one has become real popular.
Yeah, I like it too, but it's hard to get a Phil Steele one.
You gotta go to Books a Million in Montgomery or maybe Dothan.
But he must really sell a bunch of them if the way he does that, you know. Of course, it's going to be fun, and of course, Troy's got an all-conference guy in Marshall, and then also Dale Pettis, Mike, is a first-team defensive guy on their all Sunbelt team. What makes Dale Pettis so good?
Well, I mean, he's a safety that came in from North Alabama and, you know, pretty much took over the starting job, I think, after two games.
He transferred from North Alabama or what?
No, he was a high school kid. He was a freshman last year, pure freshman.
And, you know, they had two...
He had 65 tackles as a freshman, which I don't think is very good. You know, having your safety have 65 tackles.
Yeah. Another guy that made all conference, preseason all conference is Kalen Geiger. Mike, everybody I read is real high on Geiger. What do you think?
Well, he ought to be. He had 77 receptions his first year. That's a lot of catches.
And then a big lineman named Austin Steedham. But after that, though, I don't think Troy's got that many linemen coming back, do they?
Yeah, Steedham has been a starter now 3 years in a row. They got Bradshaw back at center, and then they've got the kid, Jake Andrews, who started a lot of games.
That's right, 6'3", 311 at right guard.
Yeah, and then they've got the tackle. Who was the tackle last year?
They got a Bateman kid, 6'7", 292.
They lost Kurt Kelly last year, and then they lost, I think, 3 starting offensive linemen last year.
Yeah. But they got a big guy at tackle. This is probably the biggest tackle we've ever had. He's 6'7", 292. His name is Torque Bateman, the junior.
Yeah, he's a junior college transfer they brought in.
And then there's another kid named Jordan Chapman, 6'3", 270. Not very big now, playing left guard. And then the kid from Enterprise, Dylan Bradshaw. Of course, his uncle played at Troy and was a great player. 6'3", 292.
Who was his uncle?
Gary Bradshaw.
I remember him. Yeah.
He was attorney in Enterprise.
Yeah, I remember his.
And grew up and played next to in college. He played right next to one of the all-time greats, Mike, to come out of Elba.
Tim Tucker.
No.
Tim Tucker was one of the all-time.
Tucker came out of Enterprise.
Oh, Elba. One of the all-time greats out of Elba?
Yeah.
Russ Wood.
Russ Wood. He had hit and knocked down by Russ Wood.
Yeah.
And you know what? And he was from Elba, and he spent most of the time before then in Troy. In fact, I believe they lived in Troy, and he played at Elba.
Well,
wait a minute. How did he meet Bradshaw? I thought Bradshaw was from Enterprise.
Dylan Bradshaw played at Enterprise. Yeah, I'm talking about it.
Where did Gary Bradshaw play?
Gary played at Elba. He played right next to
Gary played for
Russ Wood.
for Coach Bradshaw. I remember those when Willie Tullis and all that era.
And another two things.
Tim Tucker, you remember him? He was a great. He played in the blue-gray game.
Yeah, great player. Tim Tucker was a great player and is due to be a Hall of Fame guy. He's a great player.
We need to mention Max in the Hall of Fame. It's not going to happen now. They've moved that to 2021. So
I saw that.
We'll have to wait for the ring.
I saw that. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. It is 8 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Hopefully they're asleep.
We've been doing business the right way for 31 years, and now we've approached a year at the all-new Bill Jackson Ford. But don't take our word for it. We feel our customers express it the best.
I would recommend Bill Jackson to friends and family. Environment was just friendly.
It's a short drive from anywhere.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Here at Bill Jackson Chevrolet in Troy, we've been doing business the right way for 31 years. But don't take our word for it. We feel our customers express it the best.
Been honest in everything we've discussed with them.
When they say Jackson satisfaction, they really mean it.
The Jackson satisfaction is real.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
We're coming back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by our good friends at Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram Trucks on the bypass. And ladies and gentlemen, my good friend Jason Gregory is at it again. He's at it again. He's giving, he's raising money for different great causes in Alabama. And of course, all he's asking you to do is come by and buy a brand new Dodge Chrysler or truck from his store on Highway 231 North. They Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks. And I drive one of those new Ram trucks, and I love it. I bet if I go out, and whether I'm at the beach or here, there's somebody going to tell me that is a good-looking truck.
I told you the other day when you took me to the omelet shop.
And
hey, I got a question about all these ex-athletes, and I bet your son can answer it. The McBride kid from Charles Simpson that played at Auburn and then had the injury and quit and then transferred to SMU. Did he get is he going to get a shot in the pros, or maybe as a free agent?
I imagine it'd be a free agent, but you're right.
I have not heard anything about Richard McBride. I'll have to maybe look and see.
But you know, Troy,
he had a great year at SMU.
I don't know. Did he appeal to try to get a 6th year?
He might have. I don't know.
Maybe he did.
Mike, I would like to say that about McBride. Tell us all the kids that have gone to Auburn and something happened that tarnished their career the last 3 or 4 years.
The white kid, what do they call him? Rah-Rah White?
Yeah, Rah-Rah White got injured.
He got injured. McBride got injured, and then I guess
the great one got injured.
The best player there was the guy that was on the national championship team that's a coach now. He broke his neck, but came back and Zach Efridge.
Yeah, Zach Efridge. You know, everybody was calling him Zach Kids.
He broke his neck and came back and played.
That's right. And he laid there for a long time. He got a lot of exposure. He laid there a long time. And do you know a good friend of mine?
Terry Bowden played St. K. Pennington like he had an injury. Never played him.
Yeah. What in the world?
Well, they played him at fullback, of all things.
Yeah, moved him to fullback. A guy that ran 4.4.
Hey, he ran past.
I bet he ran a 4.3. Yeah, he was.
I know at Auburn he ran 4.27. He ran. He was. They said he was the fastest. Now they got one now that's real fast. But they said Kincaid had Bo Jackson type speed.
He won the state track meets at Charles Henderson every
year. Can you believe having to tackle Bo Jackson at 6'2", and he weighed probably about 240 pounds, and he ran a 4.12 40. Out of the world, that should be unfair, shouldn't it?
Why wasn't he more heralded as a high school athlete is my question. Yeah. You didn't hear anything about him when he was in high school like you did Herschel Walker. Yeah. But he was the exact same type runner as Herschel Walker.
And I said this.
They must not have played him much yet. Yeah. Ran him a bunch of times in high school.
Well, let me just tell you this, too. I've said it over and over again. They like to have ruined Bo Jackson. He ran in a wishbone set. Auburn's in a full wishbone set, and here is Jackson, one of the backs. And so he's going to go this way because that's where they're going to run it, this way. Every now and then they'd run a counter and go back the other way, but most of the cases, everybody would say, well, Bo is going to run to his right. Well, they didn't figure it out until a couple of years later. Yeah, they put him at tailback. I backfield behind with Bo Jackson at tailback. They pitched it to him and let him run the daylight for 2 years, and he cracked all kinds of records and everything by running.
But you know, I think they had their best records with him when they were running the wishbone. So.
Well, but now he didn't. They might have better records and everything. They might have been even a better team. But as far as him personally,
that's right.
What if he had run out of the tailback position 4 years? How many yards he would have accumulated?
When Bo was a senior, he's a senior the year before me. You know, the top running back in the state was the Evans guy from Enterprise.
From Enterprise, exactly right.
And then he goes to Auburn, doesn't hardly even play.
That's right.
But his son ends up being Rashawn Evans, who goes to Alabama, is now with the Tennessee.
No, that's not his son, is it?
I think it is. I think it is.
If it is,
yeah, it is. That's right.
I never realized that.
Yeah,
that he was Allen Evans' son.
Yeah.
Rashawn Evans. Yeah, Richard McBride got a 6-year.
Hey, all right.
Oh, man, isn't that great? I tell you what, he's a great kid.
Thanks for looking that up.
And I'll tell you something about him.
He was redshirted in 2015. He was a freshman at Auburn in 2016. Played in 9 games, had a pair of tackles, 1 pass breakup. His sophomore year at Auburn, he played in 13 games, redshirted 13 tackles. 2018, he was out for the whole season with neck injury. Auburn parted ways with him. And then the only team in the country that would offer him a scholarship to come play and cleared him medically was SMU. And all he did was make 10 starts, led the team with 98 tackles, 69 solo, 9.5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, had a 1 forced fumble. So he's got 1 more year to play. I guess medically will play his 6th year at SMU.
And what a great kid. What a great kid. I'll tell you this, Mike, you've heard me say this many times, but in the latter part of his senior year, I think that's the year they went 14-1, and played for the state championship, had a great team. Mike, when they put him at tailback, do you know nobody could tackle him?
I bet.
Nobody could tackle him. He was so strong. And I'll tell you another thing about him. He could fly. He had great speed. And of course they played him. They never even played him in the backfield, but they started running.
What's his first name?
Richard.
Well, I went to high school with a Richard McBride that was a great basketball player. I wonder if that's his daddy. I bet he's kin to him. I think he played at Troy for a little while in basketball.
But Charles said, let me just say this, McBride was good enough to play on offense or defense. That's how good he was.
Well, also, Aniana and Don Jacobs.
That's right. Don Jacobs just out-coached us.
Johnson was on that team.
Oh, yeah, we called every game on Troy Cable that year, and they wouldn't let us call the state championship game in Tuscaloosa. I'll never forget.
And do you know...
I was hoping Dad would get to call one Charles Henderson state championship game in football, and they didn't let us do it in Brian Denny's.
Was Don Jacobs the head coach at
Don Jacobs was the head coach at Aniana.
And he won the state championship?
What he did, all he did was back his safeties up and and kept John Simpson from throwing deep. That team with John Johnson were just notoriously effective throwing the ball deep. They back up their safeties. They made them throw underneath, and they won the ball game. And I believe if Charles Henson had played them again, I really believe Charles Henson was the better team. But that day, when he backed up those safeties and made Charles Henson throw short instead of long, that's what was the difference in the game.
He totally outcoached Mike Dean that day. There's no doubt. Mike Dean was one of the best high school coaches I've ever seen. Dean.
You can say anything you want to about Mike Dean, and he was different. He was different, but buddy, he could coach. You're exactly right.
He was the real deal. He was like talking to a college coach.
Yeah.
When we did the coaching show.
I tell you what, he was probably better than most defensive coordinators out there. He was a defensive coach. He was a defensive coach, and I tell you, our young coach from Goshen, Alabama, is going to be a heck of a coach for us all over with too.
He coached the state championship as defensive coordinator at Hillcrest of Evergreen, I believe.
Yeah. Is that where he is now?
Well,
yeah, we talked about that.
We talking about my buddy that played at Troy from Goshen, Jordan.
We're talking about Coach Dean.
Okay, yeah, I got you. I was talking about Robbie Jordan. Where's Robbie now? Still over at Eufaula. Okay.
Rodney Jordan?
Yeah.
He was a great lineman.
On a sad note, Richard McBride lost a brother this past weekend and going to be thinking about their family.
Oh, boy.
I believe it was about 25, Nick's his name, but he's home from SCU.
Well, I'll tell you what, our prayers and our thoughts go out to you
so sorry.
And your family, and God bless you, my friend. Let me tell you this. Give it all to the Lord. Hey, let me tell you this. Put it in God's hands, and everything will be all right. But put him in God's hands. Salvation is the most important thing that we have to look at. Not a ball game or anything like that, but our salvation is so important. We want to take a short break. We'll be right back. Brought to you by Southeast Alabama Gas District in Andalusia, Alabama, with the offices all over Southeast Alabama. We'll be right back. He's
William James Rice Jr.
Yeah, William James Rice Jr.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Have you seen an increase in your insurance premiums or significant change in your insurance coverage? Let Sandbeck Insurance offer you a better plan to suit your business or personal needs. Sandbeck Insurance offers many lines of insurance, whether it's home, farm, or auto insurance, work comp, business, or health and life policies. Sandbeck is here for you. Call or visit our Troy, Enterprise, or Andalusia office today. Sandbeck Insurance, where we take pride in taking care of your insurance needs.
Transferred out Terrell Shivers out of Texas is going to Mississippi State. But, it used to be a big deal, as far as transferring into the SEC. I mean, I know they allow it now, but actually transferring into the Western Division, where you'll definitely play Alabama.
Yeah.
Back to you to our show thanks to our good friends at Troy Nissan on the bypass right here in Troy. And, of course, tell us something special about Troy Nissan and the man that runs it.
One of the finest men I know, Dwayne Webb, and his wife Connie, they're my next door neighbors, and they've been so good to us since we moved into the neighborhood. And I take my car to them, and we've got a car that we bought from them, so I'm proud to see that Troy Nissan is one of our advertisers. And
let me tell you something else about him. He's a fine athlete, too, and Dwayne Webb was Charles Henderson and this area's first soccer-style kicker.
I didn't know that until you told me that.
He was a soccer-style kicker. He played linebacker and also for Jim Tompkins, but he kicked those extra points and field goals soccer-style. He was a good player. Let me tell you something, Forrest. Y'all need to know this. One of my favorite foods, and I just love it, and I don't know how many corn on the cobs I could eat, but let me tell you something very easy. You know, you buy corn on the cob at the store.
Right.
All right, you leave it in its shell, and you put it in the microwave one at a time now, and let it go maybe 3 minutes to maybe the most 3:30. Let's just say 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Let it go in the microwave. Then you take it out of the microwave, and the shank, what do you call it?
I don't know what you call it, but I know what you're talking about.
Of a corn, it just goes right off. It's ready to put butter on in 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Golly.
And let me tell you this. And when you bite it and it really just sinks into the cob, you've got some of the best corn on the cob you'll ever find anywhere. And the secret was a scientist from Auburn University came out with the name of that corn. What was the name of it, Mike?
I have no clue.
Oh, everybody knows the name of this great corn. What is it?
Silver Queen?
Silver Queen. Silver Queen corn is the best corn in the world.
Steve hollered from
and
up
all
in
you need,
office.
that's right, and he knows how good Silver Queen corn is. But stick one corn on the cob at a time. Now, just one at a time in your microwave. And let me tell you something, it is ready to eat, hot and ready to eat, and
You know,
put butter
I
on
got
it.
a little 4-year-old son, Jack Rice. He's like a lot of kids. He doesn't eat much, but one thing he loves is corn on the
I
cob.
love it too, and it is delicious. And of course,
I grill corn on the cob on my gas grill.
well, yeah, but I just don't think it'll hold the flavor like it will being cooked in the shank or whatever you call it. And
We always marinate ours in olive oil.
Yeah.
And, that's the way we cook it on the grill.
Well, it's delicious with plenty of butter and plenty of pepper.
You know
And
what
then,
I just started doing? A good cheap comfort food is a baked potato. And when my parents were growing up, they put aluminum foil around the baked potato, either on the grill or in the. But you don't have to do that. I used to do that too.
Oh, I know you don't.
And then I also read that you do it in olive oil, like Mike said, and then punch some holes in it and put salt and pepper on the outside of it, and then just bake it on 390 for about 50 minutes, and it's really, really
50
good.
minutes. Whoa,
minutes.
whoa. Let me tell you this. A baked potato in the microwave, you can have a baked potato in easy in 7 minutes or 6 minutes.
I know. Well, my microwave is broken.
And at that time that you're also cooking a steak on the grill, you can be eating a steak and a baked potato in probably about 20, 25
I think they're
minutes.
better baked though.
And it's delicious.
News out of Troy University as far as football goes, as far as scheduling. I'm not really a huge fan of this game because we've seen it so many times. But Troy in 2026, November 21st, will be traveling back to play Missouri in Columbia. I've seen this game too many times, in my opinion. I mean, it's good to play an SEC school, but I'm not a huge fan of this game.
What's the year now? What year is that?
2026. We played Missouri. We played Missouri enough. I'd like to play Texas A&M. That's where I want to go. I want to go to College Station to a game.
All right, but home and home though with Missouri.
No, just one game at Columbia.
Okay. Now another game that we didn't report, I don't think, was Florida A&M. We're going to be playing them in Troy. Hopefully they'll allow their band to come.
That's 2024.
2024 is Florida A&M, and of course I noticed.
We made that trip. You can stay at St. Louis. You can gamble.
They have a real nice casino. I lost a bunch of money there.
How far is Columbia from St. Louis?
About an hour.
That's not bad.
Not far. In fact, I went up there.
It's one of those where Missouri. I still have a hard time thinking they're in the SEC, but of course Troy beat them. That time on Thursday night. And Corso and Fowler and Herb Street did the game, but Troy played them last year and just got destroyed. I don't know. I don't know about playing Missouri. I'm not a huge. Now Iowa, picking up Iowa, that was a big trip.
Yeah.
I'm more excited about Army than Missouri.
I don't know why, because Missouri is a big time program. I tell you, I went to that game. It is huge. I mean, I'm talking about Missouri is a huge school and big stadium, a giant stadium. Well, it's a giant school, I'm telling you, and I was very impressed with their facilities and everything. And I stayed in St. Louis, and drove over rented a car and drove over the next day?
I was with you.
Did you go to that game with us?
Yeah, I went to Missouri.
No, I'm talking about this past year.
Oh, no, not this past year.
Yeah, I went this past year with the mayor of from my buddy that calls in over here. Yeah, that's right. What was the name of it?
Was it Scrivenville, Georgia?
Yeah, Scrivenville, Georgia.
I know why they added Missouri to the SEC. They knew they were going to do the SEC network, and they want state universities from as many states as they can get the main university, and so they got Texas A&M, which is the second main university in Texas, and Missouri to get those TV markets.
Yeah.
And so
Auburn complains all the time that they should be in the East and Missouri should be in the West, and they're right.
Yeah, no question about it.
Missouri shouldn't be in the East in the SEC and divisions.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
no
agree.
question. But they don't give me
Well, should be Arkansas.
But don't let anybody tell you they don't have the facilities and everything. They're big school, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to you from our.
How if you could get rid of Missouri and bring in Clemson?
Oh, I know it. You're right.
That's the thing. Like, I mean, Florida State and Clemson should be in the SEC. I've always said that.
Yeah. But you know what? You talk about a school that I have lost respect for is Florida State.
Really?
I do not have a lot of respect for Florida State.
Why's that?
I just don't think their program's that good. I really, they've had some good coaches, Bowden, and then, our man,
Fisher, Coach Fisher.
Yeah, but with a mediocre coach, they're just a mediocre school. They really are.
That should never be the case there, though. The talent in Florida is the best in the country.
Well, they say that and everything, but I just don't have a lot of respect for them for some reason. I just don't know.
Well, they're great in basketball. They won the ACC in basketball this year. Leonard Hamilton's a great coach. I mean,
if they played Appalachian State, who would win the game, Mike?
In football right now?
Yeah, in football right now, if they played Appalachian State, Florida State played Appalachian State, who would win the game?
I mean, I'd say with Norville as their new head coach,
yeah.
if these players decide to play for him, I think Florida State would beat them.
Come in here if you can get in here.
Forrest Lee's just come in.
Farley.
He drove to the set.
He drove to the set and got some beans that came out of your garden. Is that right?
Show that cucumber and then little bitty.
So I got to snap those beans.
This came out of Forrest Lee's cucumber.
When you go to the pig and buy me a 5-pound bag of fresh peas, that's what I want.
Little tomatoes.
Sure do it.
What do you call those?
We'll get them.
Snap beans.
Yeah, this is wonderful, and my wife loves fresh beans. And what else did you cook? Don't get too far over here. I'm trying to stay at arm's length.
Mike takes some potatoes.
I got a $5 bill on the floor. I got to pick up.
I'll get it for you.
Of course.
I tell you what, if you want to make some money, follow Mike Amos around town. He's got money falling out of his pockets like I've never seen.
Exactly right. Forrest, back up.
I go to his house and I look underneath his chair sometimes and make
no, right this way. I'm trying to separate us. There we go. There we go.
I'm good.
Great shape. Of course, Forrest Lee, my good friend, and Forrest. I reckon you get more applause from people not only as a great gardener, and you also are running that great fishing pond out.
The lake?
About from where we speak, we're about 5 miles away, probably.
Oh, probably 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But I'm a cake maker too. My Goodwill tours, I like delivering free cakes.
I saw you with that strawberry cake. Were those fresh strawberries?
Yes, sir. I gave 2 of them away. I gave one to.
You grow your own strawberries?
No. I got these on sale.
Hey, I would if you made me one, I'd pay you for it.
I may do that.
I tell you what.
Why don't I do a cake sale one day and Forrest Lee can do all the cakes?
Well, we could do it.
I'll give it to a charity. We'll give it to a charity.
Well, we sure could.
I'll make a bunch of cakes, different kinds, and we'll give them to charity.
That'd be wonderful. And
I'll make about 6 or 7
I'm
or 8.
liable about, like every cake sale we have, I end up buying 3 or 4. Right. Of course, I've got Danny Lee's mama makes me the best Italian cream cake I've ever eaten.
Well, the other day, I did a video on rum cakes, and I looked back to see who made a comment about it. Kay Stinson.
Yeah.
Well, I look on Facebook, and guess what? her husband Jim passed away about a year ago this past week. So guess who got that rum cake Sunday morning was Kay Stinson. And our 30th year reunion of going to Saudi Arabia is this September. And we've lost 2 guys that went with us.
Who was the other one?
Jim Stinson and Bill Stevens from Louisville, Alabama.
Of course, Kay Stinson married, she was a Williford.
Right. She married Jabbo Stinson.
That's right. Of course, I've known Kay all her life, and great lady. We're talking ball, we're talking more or less anything. Let me tell you something else that I like. And people are going to laugh at me. But Mike, you know, the great restaurant in Montgomery, off Finley is named.
You're talking about the great restaurant in Birmingham off Finley.
Birmingham, what did I say?
Montgomery.
Oh, well, in Birmingham, off Finley. What's the name of it?
Nicky's West.
Nicky's West. You ever eaten at Nicky's West? Wonderful. They probably serve 600 people a day. But what they're famous for, guys, is their shredded slaw with French dressing. Have you ever bought shredded slaw at the grocery store?
Yes, sir.
You ever had shredded slaw with French dressing on it?
No, sir.
Try that and tell me that is not the most delicious salad that you've ever eaten. I love it. Shredded slaw with French dressing, and then give me those corn on the cobs. And you know, I don't know if I need steak.
The best coleslaw I've eaten is at the Great American Land and Cattle Company in El Paso, Texas, on Alabama Street.
It's shredded, but it's shredded slaw, though, isn't it?
No, this is chopped up, but it's a little bit of mayonnaise, a little bit of pineapple.
Yeah, well,
the Great American Land and Cattle Company.
This is so plain. You buy the shredded slaw and get the French dressing, and it's wonderful. Really
what all do you grow in your garden?
Rattlesnake snap beans, jalapeno peppers, different kind of peppers, bell pepper, tomatoes, eggplant.
You're almost self-sufficient then. You can fish, you got your vegetables. So when things get really bad, I can be your buddy.
Maybe you can learn how to shoot a bow.
Yeah, exactly.
I can do that too.
Well, I knew how to do it in junior high in Coach Whitman's PE class. He taught me how.
Now, right now, I would think you've got as many, or probably as nice a bow area.
We have a nice archery range out there, and you come in and sign in. You have to have a fishing license or a hunting license to utilize the range, or you can bring your young child.
Yeah.
A lot of people hunt deer with bow and arrows.
Because it's more of a challenge. It's more of a challenge.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people now, do they have to use your bows, or can they use theirs?
They have to bring their own. They have to bring their own.
All right, now, a bow and arrow.
How much was that one
What kind of range are we talking about when they're deer hunting?
Well, out there, they have 5 meters all the way to probably 50 to 80 meters.
Boy, that's a long way.
I think there's like 10 different stations, and they're at different distances.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any real good bow archery guys?
I have not seen, many out there, but they are all over this.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something that
Dad, if you want that dressing, it's John's famous slaw dressing out of Birmingham.
Oh, yeah.
That's the same that Nicky's West used, and you can get Camille to bring you some down from Birmingham if you want.
Oh, it's wonderful. It is wonderful. But as far as leads, I guess, along with Bill Rice Jr., the archery people, of course, you brought archery to Pike County yourself. You practically started archery for the whole state of Alabama, don't you?
Well, I was one of 16. We were one of 16 schools, the Charles Simpson Middle School, to be part of the National Archery and Schools program in the state of Alabama. Kentucky was the first state. Alabama was the second state, and there were 16 of us from around the state that were selected to be certified. Now every state in the union is part of this program, and what they wanted to do is to develop the archery realm, the love for archery, to compete more at the world and at the world stage, because other countries are ahead of the United States in archery. But they wanted to implement something for kids that they can do the rest of their life. They don't necessarily have to hunt, but there's all kind of archery tournaments available. Schools have archery in their
program. But you
programs.
built that. How many kids were involved before the program?
When I left, high school through elementary, there were about 120 kids
See,
involved.
that right there is enough right there to want to have the program, you know. Well, I hope that you'll come back, you know, maybe as early as Thursday and talk about fishing and talk about bow hunting and what fun it is. And, of course, we appreciate Forrest Lee coming on the show and bring me all those fresh
Hey, let me
vegetables.
say hello to my wife and kids. I want to encourage my wife. You know what she has started to do during this sabbatical?
What?
She got a guitar and she's teaching herself how to play guitar.
Isn't that great? Ladies and gentlemen, we hope
She's
you
already
enjoyed our
doing
show.
The Coal Miner's Daughter.
And you'll
2 days.
watch us again tomorrow morning or today at 1:30, and we'll see you again. Max Howell will be our guest on Wednesday. We'll be back then. Have a great day.